The wandering Echo hung in the salvage yard like a forgotten relic, its hull scarred by centuries of service and neglect. Most species in the galactic community wouldn't spare it a second glance. The ship was ancient, its systems outdated by at least 3 technological epochs, and its AI core was rumored to be glitchy at best, dangerously unstable at worst. Grant didn't care about any of that. He was broke, stranded on Meridian Station after his transport gig fell through, and the Echo was the only ship he could afford with his last 100 credits. "You're making a mistake, human," the Vraxian dockmaster clicked through his translator. "That vessel is cursed. 4 captains in 20 years, all failed." Grant signed the transfer papers anyway. "Then I'll be the 5th. The interior of the Echo was worse than he'd imagined. Dust coated every surface, the air recyclers wheezed like dying animals, and several panels sparked ominously when he powered up the main systems. But when the AI core flickered to life, Grant felt something unexpected. A presence, old and tired but undeniably aware. "New captain detected," the ship's voice rasped, feminine and weathered. "Designate yourself." "Grant Harrison, human. From Earth." A long pause followed. "Human. Interesting. This unit has not interfaced with your species before. Welcome aboard, Captain Harrison." Over the following weeks, Grant learned the Echo's secrets. The ship wasn't just old, it was ancient beyond measure, a prototype from a civilization that had vanished before most current species had achieved spaceflight. Its AI, who insisted Grant call her Ariel, had been designed with adaptive learning capabilities that had evolved far beyond her original programming. "The others wanted to strip me for parts," Ariel explained one night as Grant repaired a coolant leak. "Or they wanted me to be something I'm not. You just want me to fly." "That's the job," Grant said, tightening a seal. "Though it would help if you didn't leak fluids in 10 different places. I am operating at 47% efficiency. For a ship of my age, that is remarkable." Grant laughed. "Ariel, we need to talk about your definition of remarkable." But she was right about one thing. The Echo could still fly, and she flew like nothing Grant had ever piloted. Ariel's ancient systems might have been outdated, but they'd been built with a sophistication modern shipwrights had forgotten. She could calculate jump coordinates faster than newer AIs, her sensors could detect anomalies other ships missed, and her power core, though inefficient by current standards, was nearly indestructible. Their first real opportunity came 3 months into their partnership. A Keltharian merchant consortium needed emergency transport through the Void Rift, a treacherous region of unstable space-time that destroyed modern ships' navigation systems. The pay was astronomical because no one else would take the job. "The Rift will scramble their fancy quantum computers," Ariel said. "But my systems predate quantum navigation. I use pure mathematics and probability matrices. The Rift cannot confuse what it cannot interface with." She was right. While other ships' AIs would have been hopelessly lost in the Rift's chaos, Ariel plotted their course using calculations so old they were new again. They delivered the cargo with time to spare. Word spread quickly. The human and his ancient ship had done the impossible. More jobs followed, each one impossible for modern vessels, but perfectly suited to the Echo's archaic advantages. Grant and Ariel rescued a science team from a collapsing stellar nursery, their old-style radiation shielding proving superior to modern deflectors. They recovered a data core from a derelict station filled with electromagnetic interference that would have fried contemporary systems, but Ariel's analog backups sailed through untouched. "The galaxy has become soft," Ariel observed after their 6th high-paying mission. "They build ships that work perfectly in perfect conditions, but space is not perfect, Grant. Space is chaos and violence and beauty. They have forgotten this." Grant was beginning to understand something profound. Humanity was new to the galactic stage, and everyone assumed that meant humanity was behind, technologically inferior. But humans had a perspective other species lacked. They remembered what it meant to adapt, to innovate with limited resources, to see value where others saw junk. Ariel, Grant said one evening as they sat in high orbit above a trade world, what if we stopped taking jobs and started making them? The AI's sensors focused on him with interest. Elaborate. Grant's plan was audacious. The galaxy was filled with obsolete technology that, like Ariel, wasn't actually obsolete. It was simply misunderstood. While other species chased the newest innovations, Grant and Ariel would corner the market on what everyone else had thrown away. They started small, buying derelict ships and ancient tech for pennies. Ariel's vast databanks contained knowledge from dozens of extinct civilizations. She could identify technology other AIs couldn't even classify, could see applications that modern engineers had never imagined. Within a year, they'd assembled a fleet of obsolete vessels, each one crewed by pilots who'd been overlooked by mainstream companies. Too old, too unconventional, too human. Grant didn't hire the best. He hired the desperate and the imaginative, the ones willing to see potential in what others called garbage. The Echo Salvage and Solutions Corporation became legendary. When a mining operation needed to work in a radiation-saturated asteroid field, ESS sent ships with ancient lead-based shielding that modern vessels couldn't match. When pirates attacked convoys using EMP weapons designed to disable contemporary systems, ESS escorts with analog controls kept fighting. The galaxy's elite called it luck. They called it a fluke. But Grant knew better. He'd learned it from Ariel, from the old ship that everyone had abandoned. Humanity's strength wasn't in building the newest technology. It was in understanding that survival meant adaptation. Innovation meant seeing value in the overlooked, and progress sometimes meant looking backward to move forward. 5 years after rescuing the Echo from the salvage yard, Grant stood on the bridge of his flagship. Still the wandering Echo, still old, still imperfect. Ariel's sensors hummed with satisfaction as she monitored their growing empire. "We did well, Captain," she said. Grant smiled at the view screen, watching their fleet of rescued ships cruise past. "We're not done yet, Ariel. The galaxy's still full of things everyone else has given up on." "Then we shall continue claiming them," Ariel replied. "After all, we are proof that yesterday's refuse is tomorrow's treasure." And in the cold vastness of space, the old starship and her human captain proved that sometimes the best way to build the future was to rescue the past.